Hey, so guys, we're recording now. We were talking a little bit about the two Google deals. So let's focus on that, okay?
Okay.
So can you tell me a little bit more? There's one that was it was I mean a lead that you worked for like 2 months, right? It was like from December, and you got it recently, and then the other one is more recent, for like 21 days ago from February. So tell me a little bit about those two.
Yeah, so the seller called us in December or filled out a form in December, and she inherited her dad had passed away, and she inherited a church, and I had no clue what to do with it. So I just started calling random churches, and then I posted it on Facebook on a Facebook group that I was in, and this guy reached out to me who was like, "Hey, I'm totally interested in that." Which I was shocked. So, I got it in contract for 50 grand, the church in Oakland, California, and we sold it for 100. So we ended up making 50 grand on it. But it was kind of a tough deal because the seller, she didn't have any documentation showing where the church was transferred to, like if
Mhm.
from her dad to a trust or anything like that. So we had to spend like a month and a half with the escrow company and just figuring out the title.
Oh, so it was a fairly quick deal, but it just took a long time on the dispo side of things.
Well, to clear title.
So clear,
This was
I mean, transactional coordination. Right.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
it took a lot of time and a lot of
And you said that you purchased it. Like, do you mean the contract, or do you actually like purchased it and resold it?
no, we wholesaled it. Yeah, so
You
we got a
wholesaled it.
contract for 50
Yeah.
and then assigned it for 100.
And what, I mean, how do you find the cash buyer again?
Just a Facebook group.
Okay.
I was desperate. I spent like 2 weeks trying to find a buyer. I couldn't find anybody. I was skip tracing buyers in the area. Nobody was interested. And I posted it in this random Facebook group and he hit me up. And I thought this guy's got to be a scammer. There's no way he would actually buy it. But he did. He's legit.
What did he say he wanted for though? Do you find out more?
Did what?
I mean, it's a church, right?
Yeah.
So what did he say he was gonna do with that church?
He didn't know. He was just it was a good deal. I mean, lots in that city are going for like 150 grand. And so the
Mhm.
fact that he could get it for 100, he was like, I'll buy it and then figure out what to do with it later. So I don't think he knows what he's gonna do with it.
Might be a bit religious.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. Like, he's just a wealthy individual buying stuff.
Yeah. I wish that I had 100 grand to just say, I'll just throw this at a random project. We'll see what I do with it later.
That's
Yeah.
funny. Um, what do
Yeah.
you guys want to add about that one? That was what back then when you were on your own. Adam wasn't working with you
Yeah.
at that moment, right?
Yeah. That was
So it
before.
was it was 100% you talking to the lady.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
How was it? Like, was she motivated? Like, was it a
Yeah,
smooth conversation?
she was motivated. She was desperate. The kind of crappy part is her husband passed away right in the middle of trying to do the deal, and she needed money for the funeral. So we actually had to give her a little bit of money early before the
Oh,
title fully cleared. So that was a little bit nerve-wracking, but it was like, we're gonna make 50, if it goes through, we're gonna make 50 grand. So it's like, sure, I'll give her 4,500 bucks a little bit early. It was a risk we were willing to take.
yeah.
Um,
I mean, it makes sense. I've heard that, like, calculated risk.
yeah, exactly.
Nice, and it went through and everything. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
it's crazy.
And
Crazy.
oh my god, and that was a tragedy for her, like happening during the deal. Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Yeah, right in the middle of trying to close escrow.
Do
So
you think
yeah,
that that was the reason she was a little bit difficult at some point, or she just a difficult personality?
it was just a difficult personality. Yeah, she was just a hard, and she didn't understand. Basically, so there was the church, and then there was the trust. And so the trust said that when her dad died, that she would inherit the church. But in order for her to inherit the church, it had to be transferred to the trust before he died, and it was never transferred to the trust.
Hmm.
So even though the trust said she inherits it, it was still under her dad's name instead of the trust's name. So it like technically we were supposed to go through probate, but we had some loopholes because it was an entity. So there were some different loopholes that we went through, but basically she didn't understand the entire time. She's like, well, the trust says that I get the church. And it was like, well, the trust doesn't own the church. Your dad owns the church. She's like, well, my dad owns the trust. It's like, yeah, but it was never transferred to the trust. So,
So what was the workaround there?
so the workaround was we found the original entity docs showing that her dad was the owner. And he created it in 1982. So none of this was recorded online. We had to like go to the church, dig through the file cabinets, find the entity docs. And it took a long time. So we
Hmm.
found the entity docs for when the formation of the nonprofit happened, the church. And then it named him as the only member on the board of trustees. So what we did is we contacted the Secretary of State. We told him what happened, like, hey, this trust, like the person died. He's the only person on the board for the trust, or sorry, this person died. He was the only person on the board for the nonprofit of the church. What are our options? They said, well, if his children are still alive, they can be named board members. So we had to go through all of this legal paperwork with the Secretary of State, basically making her a board member, her and her brother a board member. And I'm making it sound easier than it was. It was
It
really
was Mission Impossible, man.
I almost gave up multiple times on this one because it was just like I don't even think it's worth it, but I'm glad that I stuck around because it was worth it in the end.
Is I mean, you are a go-getter, man. So that doesn't seem to be the first time that you've insisted so much on a deal, or is it? No.
Yeah, yeah, definitely not the first time, but it was one of the more complicated deals that I've done.
It also depends on how much you're gonna make because this one was a good profit. I don't think you would have done the same for a 10,000 possible profit.
No way. No, no. But for 50 grand, yeah, for sure.
That's
Yeah.
funny. Yeah. That's funny. And it seems you have a pretty solid title company as well working with,
Yeah,
right?
they're pretty flexible with that kind of stuff.
That's good, man. I mean, yeah, it's because some people they don't want to do a work and they just want things that are easy and that stuff. That's it. So that's good, man. That's good. And when was the closing date on that one? Last month?
Yeah, sometime last month, mid-February.
Awesome, man. Congratulations again on that one. So let's just move on to the next one. The most recent one, a lead from last month, 20 days, 21 days ago. Her name is, I don't know, no need to say the name. So what happened to that
Yeah,
one?
so she filled out the form on like a Saturday night at 8 p.m.
Uh,
and I always jump on leads. And so I called her and I was like hanging out with my daughter, my 2-year-old, and just called her and she kind of loved, she was an, I don't know, maybe 70, 80-year-old lady. And she just loved hearing that I was like hanging out with my kid on the weekend. And basically, that situation was her daughter was living in the house. Her daughter had completely destroyed the house, and she was just paying the mortgage. That's it. Like, so this lady, the mom, the lead wasn't making any money off of it as a rental, and she's like, "Well, they're just destroying my pace, so I'm gonna lose money on this thing. So I just want to sell it." And she's like, I want. It was like 550 or something like that. And so I called her back. I'm like, hey, have you thought about listing the property, fixing it up yourself and listing it, kick your daughter out and then fix it and list it? You could probably get it if you fix it up. She's like, no, I don't want to do that. I'm like, well, what if you just, you know, I couldn't get you 550. What if you fix it, kicked your daughter out, fix it up and rented it out? She's like, I'm 80 or whatever her age was. I don't want to deal with that. Like, I just want an easy rest of my life. I was like, okay, well, what if we could, I mean, I can't get you the 550, but what if we could close in like 7 days and then we'll take care of, kicking your daughter out so there's no animosity there. And she was like, that would be incredible. And this is like 9 o'clock on a Saturday. I'm like, well, what if I can get you 400 for it? Do you think that'd even be a good fit for you? And she's like, oh, it's really low. I filled out a couple other forms. I want to wait to hear back from them. I'm like, okay, that's fine, whatever. And on Monday, I called her again, like, hey, have you talked to the other people? She's like, yeah, they're saying like 450 to 500. And I, just ended up building really good rapport with her. I met her at the property. And as I was leaving, she had another investor come. It was actually a wholesaler. I don't think he was actually going to buy the property. And I told her when I left, like, hey, I could probably be like 425, but I'll talk to my boss, let me know where the other offers come and I'll shoot it at him. And worst case scenario, he says no. And so I always do that because if you offer 425 and then another investor comes and they're like, hey, it's like, how do you say, let me know what the other offer's at and I'll let you know if I can beat it if you already gave them a number? So I always say, let me talk to my boss. I'll see if he can come up. Worst case scenario, he can't, but at least I threw it at him, right? And she was like, that's great. So she called me, hey, they said that they'll do 450. And I was like, okay, I mean, let me talk to him. And I just ran some more numbers on it. And it was a little bit tight, but I called her back and I said, hey, are these guys going to close in 7 days? And she said, yeah. And I said, is it non-contingent? She said, yeah. I said, send me the contract. She never sent it to me. So I just called her back and finally was like, all right, well, I talked to him. If we can get you the 450, are you good to go? And she's like, yeah. I said, okay, we'll make that work. It's tight, but we'll make it work. And yeah, closed her and got her to sign on the phone before she called the other guy back. I said, let me send you the contract really quick. Let me make sure you got it. So I emailed it to her and she signed it like right there on the phone.
Bro, you took it from, I mean, not from them because it was a competition, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, at the same time, competition. She was ready to go, man. That's the thing with Google Leads, bro. Like they're super ready to go, so you need to know how to beat the other guys.
That's why you have to jump on them fast because like if you like she submitted forms with 4 different companies. I was the only one who called her over the weekend. The other companies called her on a Monday. So could you imagine if I had waited till Monday to call her and she's like, oh yeah, I already spoke to like 3 other companies. I'm just gonna go with one of them.
Yeah.
And she didn't even give me the time of day, right?
Awesome. This is a good opportunity for me to ask Adam. Adam, you haven't been to many of our calls, so I'm not sure what is your level of your knowledge on this. Do you know what's the difference with Google PPC leads from like Facebook leads, or not really?
I mean, I believe like Google Leads are the ones like that are coming from landing pages, right?
Can you repeat that?
Yeah, I was saying like the PPL leads are the ones that is coming from landing pages and so, right?
Yeah. But okay,
Okay,
but
and
there is a very clear reason, a very clear difference that is explained like this. I mean, both leads are good, but with Facebook leads, we find those guys. We show them something and we find them. Now it's on them to submit to submit their information to become a lead, right? But it's
okay,
us who find them, right? With the Google leads, they are the ones who find us. Why is that? Because we are on, I mean, Google is only gonna, based on our systems, Google is only gonna show them the ads if they did something in Google, like a Google search,
did the
like sell my
search,
house
yeah.
fast or something like that.
Mhm.
So if they did that first, then we show them the ad and they're like, oh, we found these guys, and they submit the form and they become a lead, right?
Yeah,
So the Google leads on average, having more quality when it comes to a lead source, it just means that on average, there are going to be more people ready to go with Google than it is with Facebook. So
so
basically,
Facebook
you have
just
to go.
appears to their timeline or something.
What is it?
And like for Facebook, it just appears to their timelines or something. So they just submit a
Yes.
form. Yeah.
Yes, but there are gonna be motivated sellers through Facebook as well. You just need to go through more leads to convert one deal. Whereas when it comes to Google PPC, you should be needing to go through fewer leads in order to convert a good deal. Make sense? So
Gotcha.
what Dawson is saying here is super important. A new lead comes in is important for Facebook and Google leads to call right away, but it's even more important for Google PPC. You see
Yeah.
why?
Gotcha. Yeah, gotcha.
They're already taking an action, and if they already take an action once, they can take it twice or three more times. With Facebook, it might happen as well because, okay, so Facebook. Let me tell you why Facebook leads can also be super motivated. Think about it this way: say that it's gonna be 4th of July, and in 4th of July, people do certain type of things, right? So companies can, I mean, that day they need, I don't know, a turkey, right? So people can the same day or close to that day, they can Google, I need a homemade turkey, right?
Carlos, you
But
must be from Colombia.
why?
We eat steak and hot dogs on 4th of July.
I don't, yeah, we don't do anything for the 4th of July, so I'm just
No,
using
I'm
the
just
December
messing.
example.
I'm just messing.
Okay, I got it. So imagine if you know that that's going to happen on the 4th of July, well, guess what? You can show them ads a week before on Facebook.
Yeah.
So they're still going to spend the money. You just getting in front of them sooner. So similar here, it still makes sense because when someone submits a Facebook form, chances are Facebook starts showing them other ads, right?
Yeah.
So even though there's not them taking the action, if they're almost ready to go to a point in which they're gonna start screaming for a solution, they're gonna see more ads. So that's why getting them on the phone and getting them to say, "Hey, I think we can do something with it. Let me go ahead and think about it." And if you build a really good relationship with them, and you tell them, "Hey, wait for my offer before you can like look for other ones because I know you're gonna like it," something like that, right? And you kind of like, I mean, that's not the only strategy, but I'm just saying one strategy that might work. But the idea is to be top of mind for these people, and people tend to choose the first person they talk to. Actually, like that's pretty common, especially based also on how well the conversation went as well. Dawson, you want to add something to this?
Yeah, a lot of times they'll not just choose the first person they talk to, but if the first person they talk to is really competent and really sharp and builds good rapport, they're the one who they're going to give the most info to. Because if I tell a story to somebody, or if I call a company and I need something, I'm going to be the most detailed with them to figure out, because there's unknowns, right? So I'm going to be the most detailed with that first company. The second company I call, I'm going to kind of understand what they're looking for, so I might slim down those details. And then by the third and fourth company, it's just like, I want to sell my
Mm,
house. I want 500. I want to close in 7 days. My daughter's living there. Can you get her out for me? Okay, great. Thanks. Right. Whereas the first company, when I talked to her, she's like, oh my gosh, I bought this house to rent it. My daughter needed a place to go. And I said yes because I have a granddaughter. And, just,
he told you everything you needed to know.
More
yes,
details.
sir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah, definitely. That's huge. I mean, having the opportunity to have an engaged seller in front of you, that's huge,
Yeah.
right? I've seen it. I've seen the opposite. Someone waiting. When I say waiting, it's not that they were not calling, but they were not calling enough. They were calling
Yeah.
just like 2 or 3 times in 5 days, like two,
So,
three attempts. And they were not doing, sometimes they were not even doing double dial or triple dial. They just one call, and if they didn't respond, they wouldn't leave a voicemail. They didn't send a text message, none of that, right? So when at the fourth opportunity, I think he was lucky, like 5 days after only fourth opportunities, the guy actually, the answer, it was a woman. She answered. She was on the job. She was I mean, at work. And she said, "Oh, but we already got an offer." So I was like, dude, why did you wait so long? And he tried to overcome that, and he tried to have an engaged seller on the phone. He answered questions for like 8 minutes, and then magically she got busy at work.
Yeah, of course.
And when I say magically, it's most likely he's never gonna hear from her anymore.
Yeah.
So speed to
Get
lead
this,
is
Carlos.
huge.
I got a lead in the spring of last year, and the guys. So his mom owned the house. Her grandson, so his nephew, was living in it, and he wasn't paying rent. And I had like an hour-long conversation with the guy. He was just talking about like, what are my options? How can I kick this guy out? If I do it on my own, or if I sold it to you guys, what's that look like? A really good conversation with him, built a lot of rapport. I called him the next day, like, hey, what are you thinking? He said, I'm just still thinking about it. I've talked to a couple other companies have reached out to me, and I'm just talking to them as well. So I kept, every like 2 days I would reach out to him. And it finally got to this point where he said, hey, I'm just not ready to sell right now. I'm really overwhelmed. Let's just stop for a bit. So I held off for 30 days. Maybe a little bit too long, but it was just kind of the vibe I got from this guy is like, maybe don't talk to him for a month. I called him back and he's like, oh my gosh, I lost your number. I'm so glad that like you called me. I'm talking to all these other companies. They're all giving me offers at like it was like 870, 880. And I had originally given him an offer at like 800, 825. And he's like, they're giving me these offers and I keep telling them I'm ready to take it, but they never send me any paperwork. And I just need to sell this thing. Like my mom, she's super close to dying. I just need to sell. So I said, well, what if I could get you 8 to 825? And he's like, if you sent me paperwork, I would sign it. So I sent him the paperwork, and we closed on it. And we just listed it for sale. We had to do a lot of work on it. And there was a lot of code violations, but and it's pending already. We're making like 250 grand on it. It's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Bro, but that's more than just speed to lead. That's also a lot of like follow-up that you did there.
Yeah. But what was important about that is based on our first call, I got all the info he needed that I needed. And I think that these other guys were losing it. They didn't have as much info because they were like telling, yeah, we can do this high amount. And that's what I told him is like, yeah, I mean, do they know about your grandson? He's like, well, I think so. Right. And I said, well, if it wasn't for your grandson, I would gladly pay or your nephew, I would gladly pay 870, 880. I've got to be at like 800 to 825. So I ended up locking it in contract at 800, and we closed. Maybe it was 825. Yeah, I think it was 800. 800. And then we paid his grandson 20K to leave.
That is very interesting. So definitely keep jumping on those leads as they're fresh.
Yeah.
And well, let's quickly finish the story about that one, the one from 20 days ago. So you locked her in, and what are the numbers looking like? What are the numbers looking like?
We bought it at 550. It needs probably 30 to 40 grand of work.
Mm-hmm.
And
You guys are gonna fix it yourselves?
yes, we purchased it. Let me see I think our ARV is like 775. Yeah. Yeah, so that'll be an incredible deal for us.
550, 30 to 40 grand. So it's more than 100.
Yes.
Nice.
It's gonna be a really good deal.
Bro, this is freaking awesome.
Yeah.
So, bro, and those are 2 Google leads, right? So kind of like jumping on to the strategy part of this call is what are your thoughts on what we were discussing about potentially increasing ad spend in the next few weeks?
Yeah, I'm down because what are we doing? 600 a day right now?
No.
Oh, do you want to record this part too for the
If you're okay with it, I can record it. Not a problem?
Yeah. I just didn't know if you wanted to post this
Yeah, I
part.
mean, I'm okay with it. I mean, people need to know that good mindset is really, really important because if you want to get these big deals, you have
Yeah.
to you have to know that you can invest. Like you need to
True.
invest to make money, right? But you're not you do you say 600? No, for Google, it's not 600, it's
Well,
3.
no. I think we're at 300 for Facebook, 300 for
Uh,
Google, right?
yeah, maybe 340 or 440 for Facebook, something like that. But Google for sure is 300.
Okay. Yeah, we could up that. Probably 8. Probably up Google to 500 a day.
Cool, that makes sense. So I was
How
discussing
it
this with
runs.
my team, and the cost per lead is somewhere around like 600 in the 600s.
Yep.
So the closer you can make it to that, the faster you can get um, to almost two leads per day or something like that. No,
So our
I,
cost per lead is 6. I mean, let's just look.
so yeah, getting closer to 1 lead per day. That's what I mean. Let me see. Hmm. I mean, that's the historical one. So yeah, so 500, and we'll talk more about like how it develops in the next few weeks. Okay.
Perfect.
Yeah. No need to make all these projections right now. But the important thing here is that more money is gonna bring you faster leads. And that's something different, Adam. So you're working all the leads, right? If Dawson
Yeah,
cannot get them on the phone, you're jump into them, right? After that.
yeah. So once they're in
Yeah.
the system, I jump on them.
Okay. The reason I'm asking you that is because you're gonna start seeing. I mean, you're typically see more of the Facebook leads nowadays. So the moment that we start increasing ad spend, you're gonna see more of the Google leads as well. And remember, if you get a Facebook lead and a Google lead at the same time, which one are you gonna jump into first?
Google leads.
Google leads, right? That doesn't mean you're gonna jump later. I mean, as soon as you
Sure,
finish
sure,
that one, you go to the
sure.
Facebook one. But yeah,
Yeah.
the idea is that that you can definitely be on top of those more because we've been also making some adjustments to the campaigns, making the landing page even more solid, more like enticing to the type of seller that Dawson works more often with, right? We're also making it more straightforward, a little bit of less friction. So that's gonna work really well, putting more
Gotcha,
testimonials on them.
Carlos.
So
I
it's
just
gonna,
wanted to ask you a question, please.
what is it?
I had a call like a couple of days ago. Like I was speaking to this seller, and he told me like I filled out the form. You must see all the information that I put into the form to your system. I only get here, the name, number, email address. He
Mm-hmm,
said, I put the reason there. I put
mm-hmm.
like all
Yeah,
details he mentioned about the lead when it came to the landing page or I don't know whatsoever.
we need to add your email for fresh leads information. Then is that okay, Dawson? Should I add his
Yes,
email
please.
to
Please.
need lead information? And then also, does he have the access to the lead sheet where all the leads are listed?
I can get him access to that. Yeah.
Okay, cool, cool. Anything else you're thinking about that, Dawson, or you got busy? Whatever, what happened?
No, sorry. I had to turn my screen off for a second. No,
Okay,
yeah, that's it.
awesome. So, okay, again, congratulations, guys, on those two new contracts closings already. I
Yeah.
mean, one
Thanks.
of them already closed as a wholesale deal. The other one is on the works, but it's looking pretty amazing. So congratulations, guys, again. Again, the reason this is a success strategy call is because we're discussing marketing strategy. We're discussing sales strategy, like calling the leads right away and everything. I didn't have time. I did want to touch base on something else regarding sales, but I'll just mention it like on the go. Have you guys looked into the process for sale? I mean, the sales process from RJ Bates. Do you guys know about that guy?
I've heard of him. Yeah.
Okay, I think you should look into it more. I will send you a video, Dawson, because I want you to see how he dealt with a motivated seller who also happened to be asking for too much money, and the motivation wasn't apparently too high.
Okay,
And
sweet.
he didn't actually close the lead on the call. I mean, it wasn't like fully closed, but I think he took it very closely to a possible deal, very closely.
Nice.
So I'll send you a call, listen to it, and we'll talk about it next time, and let me know what you think about it. Okay?
Okay, sweet. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, so this is the end of the strategy call. Give me just a moment. I'll stop the recording.